Hi, JP.
Michelle.
Thank you so much for joining me today on Michelle's Conversations That Matter.
We finally made it happen.
We made it happen.
Yeah, conscious conversations, one of my favorite conversations to have.
Awesome. I'm so grateful that I met you through a mutual friend, and I'm so grateful to have met you because I've been looking into all the work that you've done as a TED speaker myself. I watched your TED Talk with Jules, and I was moved by that. Could you just take a second and introduce to the folks here who are watching who you are and what you do for a living and where you are, where you live?
First of all, thank you. Second of all, I didn't know that you did a TED Talk. Could you send it to me? I'd love to watch it.
Yes.
I didn't even know. That's super cool. I'd love to watch it. If you could send that to me, that would be great. Hello, everyone. I am JP. My full name is Jean-Pierre de Villiers, but everyone just calls me JP. And today I'm mostly known as a plant-based athlete, a speaker, a coach, and an author. I've been in the personal development and self-mastery world or energy management game for almost 20 years, and it came out of me hitting rock bottom. I grew up in Cape Town, South Africa, and I didn't have the worst life, not the best life, but it wasn't a life that I wanted to be in. So I found my first strategy at the age of 13 to not just run towards something, feeling good, but to also run away from my life and how I was feeling on the inside. And I used that strategy all the way until 19, until I found another strategy, girls, clubs, and partying. And I left that first strategy behind. I fully immersed myself in the next one. And fast forward 4 years, from 19 to 23, it took me to the UK. I went from fitness to partying to DJing. And at 23 years old, I was DJing in Riga, Latvia. And I realized on the 1st of January, having DJed to 2,500 people, that I went from rock star to rock bottom. Why? Because when everything around me was removed, I felt absolutely empty. And actually, in hindsight now, I'm able to say, having done what I've done for so many years, first starting out doing it for myself at 23 years old, and then at 25 years old, realizing that I had the tools to be able to help other people stop suffering. I realize now that in hindsight, life mastery and self-mastery and happiness is when everything else is removed, how do you feel on the inside? And I've been teaching that for almost 2 decades, like I said, and it's brought me to this conversation.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. You are currently based in the UK.
Yeah, pretty much. If you took a pin and you dropped it in the middle of England, I'm right there.
Right there. Awesome. Awesome. So when I was doing my research on you, I did watch your TED Talk, of course. I mean, as any good, I guess, aspiring reporter, I watched your TED Talk, and really awesome stuff. I mean, relationships are things, I think a lot of us struggling in relationships, a lot of us can relate to that. So there's a quote in your TED Talk that really resonated with me. A relationship is two people coming together in one beautiful, energetic dance. And through identifying each other's values, you can open up, share who you really are, and share your worlds together. Living in accordance with your highest values means living by what makes you happy. So that really resonated with me. Could you talk to us a little bit about, I mean, relationships tend to be the heart of a lot of struggle for people. Share with us a little bit about, your thoughts on what it takes to have a good relationship and what you've learned along the way, especially, being that you've given the talk.
So first of all, to give people a bit of context, I'm not a relationship coach, but I've been happily married for 4 years. I've been with my wife for 6 years, over 6 years. Mm-hmm. And there's certain things that I've been able to see in my relationship, and also to be able to see in other people's relationships, that have allowed me to notice and observe without judgment what is good and what is bad, what is right and what is wrong, what's a good idea and what's a really bad idea in a relationship. And what's a really bad idea, if we can start there, is trying to find your happiness through someone else and going into a relationship being an empty cup or even half full. Because like you just shared, if you don't live in your highest values on your own, from yourself, and you bring yourself as a full version of you into a relationship, what you do even unconsciously is you expect other people or that person to fill up your own cups, to fill up your own bowls, to fill up what is important to you. Yeah. The problem with that is that everyone is human. And none of us can be on it all the time. And we've all got, even in a relationship, sometimes we have our own stuff to deal with. Now, if you're in a relationship, you're expecting to get significance or happiness or joy, whatever it is, from the other. As soon as they've got to go through their own stuff, or they're not having a good time or year or day or month, now you start feeling like something's wrong in the relationship. But this isn't the truth in any way whatsoever. But there is something wrong, and it's not in the other. It's not in the relationship, the partnership, or the dance. It's in you. That's where the wrong is. If you can, on the other side of that, come into a relationship full, or at least do your very best to be full in a relationship, then regardless of whether your partner is right here, or they're far away, or they're there, or they're traveling, or you're distant because one of you is having a tough time at work, it doesn't really matter, and it doesn't affect you emotionally, because you already feel full. And that person in your life isn't a fill up, but they're an addition, a bonus to your already amazing life, or your beautiful and grateful life. So my first thing I always say to everyone, from social media videos to one-to-many when I speak on stages, and even my high-paying one-to-one executive clients, it's always the same thing. And I just wish more people would listen. Before you get into a relationship, fall in love with yourself. It sounds incredibly cheesy, but you've got to be able to do that. Otherwise, you will, for the rest of your life, live from a place of expectation rather than appreciation. And the big problem with that, I'll just say one short little thing, is when you expect from others, you're always going to be let down. Because no one knows exactly what your expectations are. And this is a massive recipe for failure.
So what is your advice? So say you have a client and you say you need to fall in love with yourself. What do you tell them to do? Because what's the action, right?
I don't allow them to date.
You don't allow them to date.
One of the things, if we do our discovery time together in the first session or the first few days, and I discover that one of the things that keeps showing up again are these difficult relationships, then the condition in my client-coach relationship is they're not allowed to date.
Got it.
And if they do date, I let them go, because they obviously don't want it bad enough.
Right.
And they just want to keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And that's just absolutely ludicrous.
Yes.
So many of us try to fill ourselves up through other people.
Yes.
And it's just never going to happen unless someone is literally devoting and dedicating their entire life to you and every single moment to your happiness. And what kind of a life is that?
Oh my gosh.
Like we said in my TED talk, you want to be two full people in one synchronistic dance, in one beautiful dance,
right,
where you can both be full in your own lives. Now, I'm doing my own thing today. My wife's doing her own thing today. And we're not empty or emptier as a result of that.
Right.
There is no such thing as compromise in my relationship. I actually hate that word. And just hear me out, to everyone watching or everyone listening. Compromise means I'll take a little bit of myself and give it to you. Rather than saying compromise, have mutual respect.
Yeah.
I respect you, your freedom, your time, your space, and your values. And also, I respect the fact that you need to go out and be the best version of you.
Right.
If I say that for you, Michelle, and you can do the same for me, then we can celebrate each other and support each other, rather than, hey, we're both tugging on this rope. Gimme, 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 gimme.
Yeah, that's so true.
There's this great speaker that I once heard. He's part of the Tony Robbins family, named Keith Cunningham. I don't know if you've ever seen Keith Cunningham.
I don't know if I have.
But he's had a very successful relationship with his wife. And they're now, he must be in his 70s. He said, you want to know the secret to a relationship? He said, it was when I sat down with my wife when I first met her many years ago. And I put a piece of paper on the table and a pen, and I pushed it across to her. And I said to my wife, tell me what you want. put it on the paper. And then she did the same, and they swapped pieces of paper. So it's like, okay, this is what you want, I'll respect that. This is what you want, I'll respect that. And that created a harmonious relationship. And when it comes to corporate and leadership, negotiation, it's the same thing. The best deal you're ever going to make is if it's a win-win.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you are a graduate of Tony Robbins' work, like me, right? That's probably how we were introduced, is from our mutual community of friends, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that I love the most about the work that I've done with Tony Robbins at Date with Destiny was the relationship day. That rocked.
The most powerful. Yeah.
Very, very powerful. So do you ever introduce into your coaching the conversation of masculine, feminine energy? And do you help each of them sort of understand what that means and sort of how that plays into their relationship?
I've probably had 3 masculine, feminine conversations in my coaching career. What I do speak about almost with every client of mine that is married or in a relationship is making it very clear to your partner that you're both on the same team. You can be a great hard worker, whether you're the man or the female, masculine or feminine. You can be a great hard worker, be saying, I'm doing this for my family, I'm doing this for my family. But if your partner at home, the stay-at-home mom or the stay-at-home dad, they feel like you're doing your thing and I'm doing my thing, then you're separate. And then if you're separate, you're going to move from appreciation into expectation. Once again, into that space of, hey, I don't feel enough. Please come home and fill up my cup. You've got to be able to communicate your relationship, or you've got to be able to communicate about your relationship that you're always on the same side. Essentially, when you are having a conversation, a meaningful conversation, it should never, in your mind's eye, it should never look like it's me here or me here and my partner here.
Yeah.
It should look like this. We're both facing in the same direction.
Yeah.
And we're linking arms.
Yeah.
Any conversation that you can have in a relationship where you're facing the same direction and you're talking it out truthfully and honestly, this will be a massive benefit to anyone's relationship, because all you want to feel is like you are a part of the relationship and that one person's not here and the other person down here.
So JP, is the self-love one of the biggest things that you see in your coaching? Like when you meet with people, is that a big thing, or are there other, like, what are the things that stand out with your clients?
100%, Michelle.
Yeah.
I teach self-mastery. I work with high performers. I'm a high performance coach. And what I do is I teach how to master yourself. But I often say that that's a setup. Saying that I teach self-mastery is a setup, because actually what I teach is self-love.
Wow.
But if I told you that I coach self-love, I'd be out of work.
Right.
Because only a small amount of people would come to me because, I don't want to work on self-love. Let me go out there and do more and achieve more.
Do more.
Be more successful. But it always comes down to your inner world.
Right.
And I've had clients that have chased and chased and chased success and realized that there was no point to it anymore. I've had male clients. I've had female clients say, I've been in the corporate world. I've let my health slip. I want to lose 10 kilograms when I'm with you, 22 pounds or 24 pounds. Right. And then halfway through realizing that the number was irrelevant. I thought in my mind that for me to be happy, this is what I needed to look like. But by doing the inner work and falling in love with themselves, this particular client was able to say, you know what? I don't have a want to lose anymore. I'm so incredibly happy with my body the way it is.
That's powerful.
Self-love is everything.
Yeah.
How we see the world is a result of how we see ourselves.
Right. I love that.
I can't remember who said this now. It's slipped my mind. But one of the most important questions you will ever ask yourself, I think it was Wayne Dyer, the late Wayne Dyer. Mm-hmm. Do I live in a friendly or a hostile
world? Yeah, or universe. Yes. Yeah. I love that. I don't know. Is it, do I live in a friendly or a hostile universe or world?
World.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah.
You're right. It's so true. It's so true because, and I love what you said before that. I want to repeat that. You said how how you love yourself is how you see the world, or how did you say
how you see the world is how you see yourself, but how you see yourself is how you see the world.
Yeah, I love that.
Here's something that I share with my students all the time, that I make sure that they never ever forget this, that life mastery is an inside out game, not the other way around. If you think that you'll master yourself and your life by doing it on the outside, you're incredibly wrong. And that goes back to the relationship. No attachment that you bring into your life will ever bring you happiness until you can find it first within.
I love that.
Like an apple. You can shine an apple all you want.
Right.
But if you bite into that apple, oh, wow, look at that apple. Looks so successful. Looks so pretty. Looks so amazing. And then you bite into the apple and the core is rotten. What are you going to do with it? Throw it away.
Exactly. God, that's such a good analogy. I love that. You know, I just interviewed Vered. I don't know if you know Vered, but she's amazing. And she was talking about meditation, and how when she's going through some really dark times, she found herself committing to meditation to really get connected to her inner world. What is the role of meditation that you introduced, if you don't mind sharing? I don't want you to share all your secrets, but I am quite sure meditation is one of them.
Yeah. Look, I've got mala beads around my neck, meditation beads. This is my meditation room.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on a meditation pillar right now because this is where I find my peace and just my center. I meditate every morning. Every morning. I've just come back from living in a Shaolin temple and Buddhist monastery in Germany, where I was meditating there. Last year, I went to a Buddhist meditation center in the UK, and I lived in silence for 2 weeks just to be with myself.
Wow.
To understand myself on a deeper level. And I'm smiling because just yesterday afternoon, and then that morning, I was referring in a group environment and a one-to-one environment I was talking about the importance of meditation. I have a coaching client, and we got together and we had a conversation the day before, and we were saying, based on everything that we've been through, everything that we've achieved, everyone we've connected with, everything we've studied, we both agreed that the number one thing you can do in your life to master your life, find happiness, fulfillment, reach your truth, find your higher self, is to sit and meditate. That's it. And I can say in hindsight, looking back, being almost at 40 now, that this has been the most significant thing in my life. Just getting out of doing, getting out of thinking and doing and into being.
What has that offered you? Because I know that there's I have a lot of friends and family and just connections here on Facebook and beyond who are skeptical, who say, you know, I tried it and I can't do it for more than 30 seconds. Like, what's your, I'm quite sure that you do it for an extended period of time, but how did you get there? Because I think it's overwhelming for some people who they just say, my mind won't shut off. I can't do it.
That is a really, really great question and incredibly valuable for everyone listening and watching to this. I don't know how they're going to view it, but most people struggle. And I was one of those people. I'm not going to say that I just sat down, started meditating, and a year later I was levitating off the floor and reaching my third eye and living in fifth dimension. It wasn't the case. It was a long, long journey. There's something that I believe to be very true, that you can't ignore your awareness. And being a student of life, I've studied and studied and studied, and I'm so incredibly aware of the benefits of the people that have done it, of how it can help you and how it can help your mental health, how it can help calm you in a relationship. What I'm saying is evidence, 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 evidence. There's so much evidence there. It's very difficult for me to ignore. So what did I do? I started with an app called Headspace. And then I got bored of the guy's voice and I moved to an app called Calm. And then I got annoyed with her voice and I just started meditating in silence. And then I started going on these experiences and retreats and meditation events. And it's been I would say a 7 to 8 year journey of being okay with meeting myself. Because that's what meditation is.
Yeah.
As my friend Dana Parney says, meditation is a meeting with your energy. And meditation is a meeting with yourself, specifically your true self. Why most people struggle, and this is just my humble opinion, no one has to agree with this, is because they don't like facing themselves.
Yeah.
So rather, they would keep themselves busy being busy.
Yeah.
They would keep themselves in action. They will keep themselves in doing and thinking, so they don't have to face their true being.
Yeah.
But that is where our power lies. When we can sit and listen to the truth, we can have that awareness, and then we can act on that awareness. But if we don't take the time and invest the time and even carve out the time, meaning like, don't try and find it, make the time.
Yeah.
You can come to the center of yourself.
Mm.
And day by day by day by day, from 10 minutes to 2 hours to 10 hours in a day, I've done of meditation. You can be on a continuous, never-ending journey of coming back home to your truth. And when you come back home, you move from your head to your heart. And ultimately, that is the power of meditation. It is a journey back home to the center of your heart.
Love it.
It's just incredible. So I would say to anyone, if you struggle with meditation, you have to meditate way more than me then. Because what you're saying is, I can't sit with myself. Now, just without any judgment, just purely observation, just think about how ludicrous that is. That you cannot sit with yourself. That's very concerning.
Yeah.
We need to be able to, as human beings, not doings, we need to be able to just be.
Right.
And when we come back to relationships, I mean, that's one of the first things you need to do is, rather than doing a relationship, be a relationship. But first, you've got to be a relationship with yourself.
Yourself, yeah. Yeah. Is that the first link for self-love? I mean, we were talking about self-love. I mean, I feel like if you can learn to be with yourself and get connected to yourself, then you can love yourself.
Absolutely. How do we learn to love ourselves? First, just learn to be with ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful that you just shared that in that way, because I've not even said it like that before.
Mm-hmm.
Loving ourselves. Oh, it sounds so difficult.
Yeah.
What's the first step on the path to self-love? It's just to be with yourself.
Right.
And if it's 5 minutes, let it be 5 minutes. I do group meditations in my online coaching. We did a meditation this morning. And at the end of a 45 meditation of people meditating all over the world on Zoom, I said to everyone, put your hand on your heart. And I said, just remember this. There is no good meditation or bad meditation. There's just meditation. There's just you facing you, you meeting you, you sitting with you. And I said, regardless of whether it was difficult, frustrating, or beautiful and happy, whether it felt fast or whether it felt slow, whether it was good or bad, just thank yourself for sitting with yourself.
Right.
That in itself is a win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All we want to do in our life, I'm assuming, is we want to vote more for our best self than vote for our worst self.
Yeah.
Like in any politics, the more votes that are cast in one direction, the more power there is there.
Mm.
And think about it like that. To everyone experiencing this conscious conversation, every single time I have meditated, or let's remove the word meditation, every single time I sit and take 3 deep breaths, I'm voting for my best self. That is a vote. Just cast one vote for yourself every day, non-negotiably, unapologetically, and watch what happens over time.
That's great. I love it. I love it. So great. Tell us a little bit about your experience. You went away. We couldn't do our conversation because you went away, like you said, and you spent some time in silence or in meditation. Could you tell us a little bit about that? And then I'm going to totally shift gears because I realize I have a lot of followers who would be very interested to know a little bit more about your plant-based athlete passion there. So we'll talk about that. But tell us a little bit about your experience when you were away.
So the most recent one was I had a very bad accident last year, spent almost 2 months in hospital, and I'm a student of life. So I was consuming as much as I could, lying in hospital, resting. And I found this TED talk, or should I say this TED talk found me. And it was of a Shaolin master, a monk, speaking of the hindrances of self-mastery. And having been in self-mastery for so long, it caught my attention. I absolutely love what he had to share. There were so many synchronicities that I thought, you know what? I want to learn from this. I want to learn from this gentleman, from this Shaolin monk. So I found him in Germany, in a place called Otterberg in southwest Germany. And I went there, and I went and lived there for 7 days. I lived, mostly in silence, doing a lot of Shaolin practices and living a monastic life for the week, eating in silence, praying, meditating, doing Kung Fu, Tai Chi, Qigong. And it was just incredible. And whilst I was there, I went to the Shaolin master and I said, I booked some one-to-one time with him. And in the one-to-one time, I said, I would love to share you with my audience. And I interviewed him for, I think, about 20, 25 minutes. And the first bit of wisdom, a monk for almost 40 years, a 35th generation Shaolin master from China, the first bit of wisdom he shared for anyone wanting to go on a path of self-mastery is for all of your life, be a student. And I got really emotional because that was the exact reason why I was there. I went to Germany to be a student, and I'm always a student before I am a teacher. I'm always a student before I'm a coach. I'm always a student before I'm a speaker, always, because I never, ever want to think that I know enough.
Yeah.
That is, that's how we start dying.
Yeah.
By thinking that we know enough. So not only did I take myself there as a student, but I found his video by being a student whilst I was in recovery in hospital. And it was a beautiful experience. I was able to take that and share it on YouTube. It was just amazing. I'll be going back there again. And for me, the most important thing about going there is the word retreat. I believe it's very important to retreat from your current life.
Yeah.
So that you can come back in and construct a better life, whether that's spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, financial. When we are in the arena of our life, it is very difficult to gain a new, better, different perspective because we're fighting every day in our life.
Yeah.
I do believe that, and I run my own events. I believe it's incredibly important to every few months retreat, not from your life, from your current life.
Yeah.
Because you can't change your current life with your current perspective. That's why you're already there. And then build up new perspective, build up new evidence, see things from a different angle, and then go in with, new passion, new purpose, new personal power, and start making changes.
I love it. I love it. So if I have two questions. I want to ask you about your plant-based athlete, what you do with that. But I also want to ask you, so, a lot of people, in the States, a lot of people, I guess, across the globe are still struggling with COVID. They're struggling with isolation. They're struggling financially. They're struggling with their relationships. They're struggling with employment. What words of advice do you have for someone out there who might be just like, enough already? I'm struggling with this and I can't deal. What do you recommend? Like, what would be your first thought to help them help themselves?
So, great question. And before I share this, I just want to say, I'm not making light of anyone's situation and saying, oh, come on, just get with it.
Yeah.
I'm just sharing in the limited time that we have some little nuggets that might be valuable to some people, might not be valuable to others. The first thing is to go back to what I shared before, appreciation over expectation. Let's focus on the word appreciation. Yes, things aren't as they were expected to be or how we wanted them to be. They are what they are. As Tony Robbins always says, don't make them worse than they are. Now, I have a very unique perspective that 99% or 90-something% of the world will never have. I almost lost my life last year when I was hit head on by a car. And that made it easy for me. But it still gave me permission to share with others that as long as you have breath, you have something to be grateful for. And that brings me to move from appreciation. The next thing is expectation. COVID-19 hasn't messed us up. Our expectation of how life should have been has completely messed us up.
Yeah.
But if you removed all expectation of 2020, then, maybe you can say, rather than why has this happened to me, you can say, why not? There's no guarantee on life. Thirdly, very powerful when it comes to mastering our inner world is the power of meaning. There is no meaning to life. There are close to 8 billion people in the world, and everyone is going to have a different meaning of what life means and what COVID-19 means. And it comes down to what we choose to put in our consciousness. It comes down to what we choose to focus on. It comes down to who we choose to spend time with, what we choose to consume in terms of media and information. And this is going to create the meaning that we have.
Yeah.
I don't listen to negativity. I don't judge it. I don't want it in my consciousness. I don't want it in my space, or I don't want to feel it in my energy. I don't watch the news. I don't like conversations of, this COVID-19. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to benefit me in any way whatsoever. And then lastly, understand and remember, if you already know, that like Albert Einstein said, everything is energy. Everything. And that means there's nothing excluded, not you and not every single thought that you have. Thought is an energy.
Right.
And you cannot tell me that that's incorrect, because if you say I hate my life, it's going to create a physical response in your body.
Yes.
If you say I love my life, it's going to create a very different response.
Right.
And the ultimate guide in our life is how we feel. Our emotions. That is the ultimate guide. Do we feel good or do we feel bad? And like the Shaolin Master said so well to me just 2 weeks ago, that our emotions are a delayed response or a delayed reaction of our thoughts. And I thought, beautifully said.
Yeah.
You cannot have an emotion without a thought.
Right.
And that's because thought carries energy. So it would just be, stand guard to the door of your mind right now. Be incredibly, incredibly conscious of what you're consuming. Choose carefully what you're focusing on. Can control, can't control. Makes me feel good, makes me feel bad. Create a powerful meaning for what's going on right now. And don't do it on your own. If you're doing it on your own, you're doing it wrong. Get around the right people.
Yes.
Make sure that you are only investing in people right now that have a powerful meaning around COVID-19, because you will become the average of those people, or you will give meaning to our current reality based on the reality that those people have created around you.
Such amazing advice. It really is. And I tell people all the time, we were hit by a hurricane yesterday. I didn't know it because I don't watch the news. So like I knew there was a storm coming, but I didn't necessarily know we were going to get hit. And I was like, I don't watch the news. Ooh, should I watch the news? No, I'm not going to, because just like you said, I don't want that in my space. Social media, I need to be mindful of even how much I'm consuming there, because I know how it makes me feel, and it doesn't feel good. So I love what you just shared. I really, really do. It's important.
I love that you just said that. It doesn't make me feel good. How many people unconsciously or not responsibly, they keep going back to the thing that doesn't make them feel good?
Yeah.
How is focusing on what makes you feel bad? I'd love anyone to challenge me on how that is beneficial to your life. Even Mother Teresa once said that I will never attend an anti-war rally, but if there's a pro-peace rally, I'll be there.
Yes.
She understood the importance of, give me something positive to focus on, peace, even in the midst of war.
Yeah.
let me go in that direction. But I refuse to go in the direction of darkness. Why? You can't destroy darkness with darkness. Yeah. You can't destroy hate with hate, etc., etc.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, amazing. So we have a few minutes, and I have to get to this point. So tell me, JP, what does it mean to be a plant-based athlete?
So I live on plants and I don't consume animals. Now, it took me 35 years to get to that awareness that I was meant to do that I wanted to do that. I'm from Cape Town, South Africa. I was born with meat hanging out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But what is interesting, actually, separate points, but my mother told me just recently that when I was born, I never wanted to touch meat.
Wow.
But I only learned that now at 39 years old, that when I was born, I didn't want to touch meat. But I never knew that for 35 years I ate meat. First of all, what's the lesson there? That I was conditioned to believe that I should eat meat.
Yeah.
But my nature coming into this world was I didn't want to touch it. Anyway, that's a separate point. So I lived my life and I ate meat, and I'm a high performance coach. Before that, I was a life coach and then a fitness coach. And I always ate meat and salmon and chicken and protein,
Yeah.
But because above everything in my life, I've always remained a student. One of my highest strengths in my life is continuous learning. I'm always looking to learn. And I just started interviewing people in my late 20s and 30s and watched documentaries, Unity and Earthlings, and then managed to find Sean Monson, the director of these two documentaries, which are very veganism documentaries, had a conscious conversation with him. Then I started researching athletes that were plant-based. And I just got to a point where, to come back to what I shared before, awareness is the first step to change. And like I shared before, you can't ignore your own awareness. You can't ignore it. You can pretend to, but you can't ignore it. It's always there. And I had just reached a point of raising my awareness so much that I knew that every single time I consumed food or fuel, I had a choice to kill or not to kill. And being very much into spiritual practices, and I'm not religious, but if I had to be, I would live the way of the Buddha, which is, you're not praising a God, you're not looking to be happy in the afterlife, you're looking to have a happy life now in the living. And of course, one of the main precepts of Buddhism is to never harm another being or to cause another being suffering, because how can you have a life without suffering if you are causing suffering upon others? So I did it not for the environment.
Right.
I didn't do it for health. I just raised my awareness, and I've always loved animals. I wanted a horse growing up. I've had dogs. I've always loved animals. I reached a point when I was around 35 years old that I just knew that killing was a choice. And there was no amount of tasting good that would justify putting a knife to an animal's throat.
Yeah.
And I had too much evidence, like I said before, from all my research.
Yeah.
How could I ignore the evidence that I could, for the rest of my life, never harm a single sentient being that can feel fear and excitement and take their life without them wanting to have their life taken? So you've opened a can of worms now, but you did.
It's so interesting. I watched the Joe Rogan podcast, and he interviewed Naval Ravikant, and they were talking about how decades from now our ancestors are going to, it may even be like, I don't even know, that centuries from now, they will look back on us as barbaric because we were killing animals, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Like, you think about it, it's normal for us right now.
Yeah.
But as everyone hopefully starts to raise their awareness and starts to recognize that it is killing, I think it's going to be a very different, many, many years from now.
And first of all, I just want to say thank you, Michelle, for asking this question, because that shows courage in itself, because it could turn some of your own listeners off. So thank you for that. And to come back to what you just said about, we need to raise our awareness. That's why plant-based people, I don't say vegan very often. I say plant-based because I eat plants.
Right.
But vegan is like, look at me, this is my title.
I know.
So plant-based eaters, vegans, that's why they're so passionate.
Yeah.
Because they know that every conscious conversation they have could literally save a life.
Yeah.
If not hundreds or thousands of lives. Getting one person to go plant-based, or even just minimize the amount of animal that they consume, could literally save lives. Now, if you had that awareness that you could do that through just opening your mouth, would you be doing it with passion and purpose every day?
Yep.
Like,
yeah. Very, very powerful. Very powerful.
It's interesting that you mentioned this to me now, because this morning I was driving and I was thinking, I need to be having more plant-based conversations. And then
you listen. I am all about awareness, and like you said, being the student and learning. I'm always open to learning, and I'm always open to sharing other perspectives. I mean, maybe that's the Capricorn in me. I'm all about balance, right? Like, there are plant-based eaters, there are not. There are meat eaters, diehard meat eaters. Like, I think we need to share the other side of the coin and educate, and and that, I don't know, I feel almost a personal responsibility to always look at the other side of the situation, I
love that you just said that, because I'm not saying everyone should be vegan or plant-based.
Right.
What I'm saying is everyone should wake the F up and be aware. Yeah. So if someone says, oh, F you and your vegan stuff, all I'll say is don't go vegan. But please, my brother, please, my sister, go to an abattoir and just watch for 1 day. 1 day, that's all. No, 1 hour. Just 1 hour. And then make up your own mind.
Yeah.
That has got nothing to do with me. That is a responsible thing for you to do. Because if you say, no, I don't want to do that, that's just ignorance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, like, I'm willing to see your side. I've lived in your side.
Mm-hmm.
Be willing to see my side, or the truth. Not even my side. It's the truth. It already exists. I don't have to create it.
Yeah.
Go see it, and then make up your own mind, and it'll be based on 2 truths.
Yes.
Rather than 1.
Yep.
And whatever you choose is going to be based on, with that awareness of both truths, it's going to be based on what feels right for you.
Yeah.
And that is the right thing to do.
Right.
I can't argue that.
Yeah. Amen. So how do people reach you? I would love for you to share how people can get in touch with you if they're interested in talking to you or learning more about you.
I would probably say the easiest thing to do is go to my Instagram. You can type in my name, Jean-Pierre de Villiers. You should find me. If you go to my public Facebook page, it's the same, Jean-Pierre de Villiers. I don't really use my website. I haven't in a long time, but it's the same, JeanPierresDevilliers.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'll tag you, and you'll be tagged in this, so they can certainly reach you through Facebook Messenger as well. So, awesome. Yay. Thank you so much for joining us. Any last words of advice or wisdom you want to share, since we have quite a few people listening?
I teach a lot of leadership, not just personal leadership, what we've spoken about a lot, but also in the corporate world.
Yeah.
And something I often share is, it's not about becoming a leader or not becoming a leader. Everyone is a leader. We're leading our friends, our community, our family, our children, our parents, our community, our sports teams, and of course our companies, our business, our peers, our colleagues. So the question is not to lead or not to lead. It is to ask yourself this: if I'm already a leader, which you cannot ignore you are, do I lead people in the right or the wrong direction? Where am I leading the people that I'm already leading? And for me to lead people in a better way, how do I need to lead myself better? How do I need to lead myself better? Because you cannot give others what you don't have. You really can't.
Yes.
And that's why the greatest organizational leaders or community leaders are inspiring. We find them inspiring. Why? Because they personally lead themselves in a way that we see it or feel it as inspiring. I always say to my clients, don't listen to my mouth. I talk a good game. Watch my feet. And if you can watch my feet and be inspired, hopefully I've inspired you and influenced you to go and lead yourself in a better direction. And that's what my whole career is based on. In being a plant-based athlete, a speaker, an influencer, whatever you want to call it, it's to do me in the best way that I can. In triumph, in tragedy, in victor and victim, in authenticity and, celebrating my own life, in all areas, to lead myself in a better direction so that if you choose, you can take that inspiration and that awareness with what I've shared with you and walk yourself in a better direction. Or just keep walking because maybe you've given up. All of our goals in life are about feeling good. Every goal you've ever had in your life, you have it because you think that it will make you feel good, or you feel it'll make you feel good. And we're all climbing our own mountain. And on that mountain, you're going to have surprises around the corner. You're going to meet people along the way, lose people along the way. You're going to fall. You might stop for a skinny dip. You might try and get, to run away from a bear, whatever. Life is unexpected and it has clever twists and turns. But the most important thing in your life is that you never stop climbing, because at the center of that mountain lies the center of your heart. And like I said, life is about the journey back home to the center of our heart. And sometimes, like I said before, if you're doing it alone, you're doing it wrong. Sometimes you just need a bit of inspiration from other people.
Yes.
So in short, be a better leader.
Yes.
Forget everyone else. Start with yourself.
Love that. JP, thank you so much. You're such an inspiration to me. I can't wait to continue to follow you. Let's stay connected. I love your work. And thank you so much for all that you do for people.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I look forward to connecting with you again.
Thank you. Same here.